World Economic Forum ranks South Africa number 137 out of 137 countries in the latest World Competitiveness Report. It says South Africa has the worst labor-employer relations in the world. A contributing factor to this poor ranking is how complex South African labor legislation is for a business to navigate. The most recent business partners, SME index revealed that only 41% of SMEs are confident that the current labor laws are conducive to business growth. Well, the Executive General Manager of Human Resources at Business Partners Limited, Khomotso Ramunyane, joins us in studio to discuss this further. Good evening, Khomotso. Thanks very much for your time. Is this real or is it a perception?
Good evening, Vuyo. Good evening, listeners. Thank you very much for having me here. It is real. It is very real. SME owners speak to a multiple of challenges. One of them is funding. They talk to issues of sustainability. And one of the third highest reported challenges that they face is issues of the complex labor law landscape in which they operate in.
What makes ours more complicated than other jurisdictions?
I think a couple of factors. One, we are very pro-employee, so our laws are anti-employers, which is one of the challenges that SME owners report, that they end up even not hiring people at the rate that they would like to because they are very scared of having to adhere to the different legislations.
But are our laws necessarily anti-employer, or is it not a question of a recognition of workers' rights and something that has been fought for in this country, for many, many years, and perhaps shouldn't change simply because, employer-employee relations have, taken a sort of a different form, certainly from a color of the skin point of view?
I'm going to answer you differently. I think in as much as we have a unique history, what our laws have done is they have created a lethargic culture. We have a culture that is almost anti-being customer-orientated. I think, if you take a simple rule like sick leave, the fact that the law states that you have to have 2 days off for you to give a sick leave note, it does place it's more favorable for the employee and not necessarily for the employer. So yes, we have a rich history, but I think it's time now to balance between the two players so that ultimately our economy grows, which is a challenge that we're facing as a country.
Isn't the issue here, or perhaps shouldn't we be saying that there's a need to simplify the laws on the one hand, and perhaps secondly, help especially or particularly small businesses who find this sort of bureaucracy a bit daunting? Isn't that what we should be saying? Instead of sort of suggesting that this is wrong because it is anti this and pro that.
I agree with you. There's a need to simplify, there's a need to condense, but I think equally so there's a need, I think, to look at perhaps a set of rules that take into account the challenges that SMEs face. The CCMA as well as BUSA recently combined efforts, and they've done an online free tool where they are helping SME owners to be equipped with knowledge, to access things like employment contracts, rules, etc., just to simplify their lives. So I think there is a recognition that that SME owners are burdened with the understanding of the labor laws. So I think we are moving in the right direction, but it's about a collective effort between employees and employers.
And you're not suggesting here that the laws should be a little more lenient when it comes to SMEs, as opposed to when you're dealing, say, with big corporates that have, big numbers of people and bigger bureaucracies, obviously?
I am partly suggesting it, Buyo. I am partly suggesting it. I think if you look at where, in some cases where you get to the CCMA and financial penalties are put on SMEs, I think there needs to be a consideration of the turnover of that SME so as to not kill or to kill the sustainability of that SME. I think if you look at issues
At the same time, workers should not be exploited simply because they are employed by the small guy.
I'm not suggesting that we go back to exploitation at all.
Okay, I get you. That's where we're going to leave it for tonight. Thanks very much.
Thank you
for coming through. Khomotso Ramonyane, the Executive General Manager of Human Resources at Business Partners Limited.